The Astroglass 160V bass boat restoration project. This is going to be part one. And as you will see here in the following clips, I needed to do some things like get some lights on the trailer so I could take it somewhere. Do a little bit more investigating on some of the hull damage up on the gunwale. And you'll see a clip on that. And I'll show you some tricks that I have for stripping off the old carpet and adhesive. You get a little bit of tour of that. Then we're going to take it on a little river trial, and you'll see I'll mention that it has some torque steer, really bad, and I'm going to make a separate video on how to correct that. It's not all that tough, but it's a highly controversial subject with some people for some reason. For that reason, I'm making a separate video. So here's some clips on part one as we get this thing ready to take it out on the water. Now, one of the first things doing here on the old Astroglass is tail lights, clearance lights, all lights, trailer wiring. See the old ones there. I mean, all the lights on here were just plain shot. So I've been replacing lights here. Made some aluminum plates to cover up that hole so I can mount the new lights to. So there's one of the old ones there. And replace the clearance lights along the sides, including the ones up front here. Now I get to play like a reptile and crawl around on the ground and get all this wire together. Not the ideal place to do this, but it's the only place I have to do it with the boat off the trailer. Yeah, doing a little bit of prep on this. Going to take it out for a sea trial this weekend. Well, I guess you wouldn't call it a sea trial because it's going to be on the river. A river trial. Take this out, see how well it runs. I did hook up a bilge pump in here just in case. That's why there's such a wild mess of wires down there. This will all get rewired when I do the rebuild. But I did find a pair of wires I could use just to get a switch up on the dash there for the bilge pump, just in case. Well, here we are out on the river. So, not exactly a sea trial, more of a river trial. First thing I notice is if I let go of the steering wheel, this thing goes right to the right. So, really bad torque steer. Seems to be running good, not going too fast yet. Just kind of want to see how this handles and everything. Boat's not filling up with water, so it doesn't leak, so that's a good thing. Well, took it up to 40. The water's really rough, so I didn't want to try to take it any higher than that. That was not much more than half throttle, and I didn't trim it up much. Just gave this a good pressure washing. I've got all the hatches off of it now and getting them stripped, and I'll show you the tricks I found on that in a minute. Good way to get everything off easy. I just got done pressure washing this. Got the, of course, the carpet that someone else had put on there over the top of the old carpet was really easy to just tear up. And most of this other stuff, if I went at it a little harder down here on the floor, I could just pressure wash that off. But since I'm going to be reworking the floor, I'll be getting in there with some tools and working that off a little better. This cleaned up pretty good. The glue from the original carpet is extremely dry, I guess you could say. So getting it off with sandpaper is actually pretty easy. There's no real scraping involved once you get the fuzzies off of there, and I'll show you a little trick I found I've known about for getting that off. And did a little bit of a test sand over here by that damaged spot in the gel coat. And I'm still up in the air about whether I'm going to put re-gel coat this, because the problem is it's got such a long curing time. I don't have any place to put this inside. They do. Eastland does make a clear coat. It's a urethane 2-part that is made for fiberglass. So I may be going with that. I just haven't decided yet. Now, since nobody had sanded this little section on the gunwale here on the side, I thought I would try to kind of see why. And I had these chips here. Well, now I know why. This has been repaired at one time, and whoever did it did not prep the original gel coat, because I mean that's just super shiny down there, and it's just chipping off all the way up here. I did find the repair. One of the repairs is right down along here, and I would imagine it continues along. I don't know what happened, and I was probably go back this way, and as I get back here I had the same type of thing, and where I found cracks like this in the gel coat, I will show you what I found up front where I sanded through one of those, and that's right up here. So here's where the repair was, and here is what's left of the gel coat that was put over, and here's the original gel coat up here. And you can kind of see on the top here on the top of the gunwale where I've done some sanding. You can see where they fared out the repair gel coat over the top of the original, and this was cracked really bad along here, and you can still kind of see the cracks a little bit. So I think I'm going to be shooting some metal flake on here after I get this all sanded down and figure out what kind of repair I need to do here. I got a little bit of the underlay showing right there, and there's some cloth here that is actually on top of the original gel coat, so I haven't got into this yet. Trying to figure out what's going on with that. So here's the rear hatch. I just took that off. I'll be taking all the hardware off of that, and I'll show you how I strip that. It's actually pretty easy. And this is what they look like when they're stripped. So I'm glad these are aluminum and not wood, because it makes it a whole lot easier to strip them. Okay, so here's how I strip them, and I'm not going to do this by a camera because it makes a giant mess, and I don't want dust and particles and stuff all over my cameras. What I start out with first is a cut brush right there, and I go over the entire surface of that, and it takes all the fuzzies off and what's left of the carpet backing. All that's left after that is the adhesive, and as I said, it's very, very dry. So I'm using an orbital sander, and this paper right here does not load up. I really like this stuff. It's made by Toolant, and I'm using 80 grit. This paper really holds up, and like I said, it does not load up. I think probably because of that diamond pattern in it. And it does take a few discs, because I mean you're going over a large area. The rod locker hatch took 2 discs. Each one of the side live well hatches took 1 disc each, and this little guy here probably use what's left over on that one there. And then the motor hatch. Motor hatch here is probably going to take 2. That's quite a bit bigger. So there's a little quick tour of everything that's been happening on it so far. And as you saw, it does have that torque steer problem, and I'm going to show how to correct that in another video. There'll be more coming up on this as the season ends here, I guess. It's now September 20th, and it's getting towards the end of the month, and it's going to be getting cold, and some of the work I may not be able to do because you have to have certain temperatures when you're trying to get your fiberglass gel and laminating resin and soda kick. So we'll see how it goes, but there'll be more coming up. Thanks for watching. I'm Roger in the shop. See you in the next one.